It was 2:30 in the morning. The water was completely still. No wind, no boats, no sound. And then something broke the surface. Not a wave, not a fish. Something large, something long, moving slowly across the loch before disappearing beneath the black water without a ripple. The man watching from the shore didn't scream. He didn't run. He just stood there, frozen, staring at the exact spot where it vanished. That man was a retired marine biologist. 34 years studying ocean life. He had seen whales, giant squid, and deep-sea creatures that most people don't know exist. And he said, quietly, privately, to the research team that interviewed him the following morning, that he had no explanation for what he saw. No explanation. That's where this story begins. And trust me, where it ends is somewhere nobody expected. If that already gave you chills, hit subscribe and the notification bell right now. Because this channel goes to places like this every single week, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Like this video if you want the full answer. Let's go. Loch Ness sits in the Scottish Highlands, a long, narrow stretch of water cutting through some of the most dramatic landscape in the world. It is 23 miles long, nearly 800 feet deep in places, and it holds more fresh water than every lake in England and Wales combined. That depth matters because 800 feet of dark, cold, murky Scottish water hides things extremely well. Modern sonar has mapped the bottom. Underwater drones have explored its caves and ledges. Satellite imaging has been pointed at its surface. Scientists have even collected environmental DNA, filtering water samples for genetic traces of every creature living inside. And yet, the question that has followed this loch since 565 AD, when St. Columba reportedly witnessed a creature attacking a man in the river nearby, has never been fully answered. Not because people stopped looking, because every time science gets close to a definitive answer, something in the data refuses to cooperate completely. Here's the first thing that should make you curious. The most famous photograph ever taken of the Loch Ness Monster was a hoax. Everybody knows that. But the sonar readings, those are much harder to explain away. In 1954, a fishing boat called the Rival 3 was crossing Loch Ness using standard sonar equipment. Standard procedure, routine crossing. Then the sonar picked up something large, moving, keeping pace with the boat at a depth of 480 feet. The crew watched the reading for half a mile before it disappeared. 480 feet down, keeping pace with the moving vessel. For half a mile, no fish native to Loch Ness grows large enough to produce a sonar return like that. The largest creature confirmed to live in the loch is the European catfish, occasionally reaching 6 feet in length. What the Rival 3 tracked was not 6 feet long, but here's where it gets more interesting. That reading wasn't unique. In 1968, a scientific team from the University of Birmingham deployed underwater sonar equipment, specifically to study the loch. They recorded a large object, rising rapidly from deep water, moving at a speed that no known bottom-dwelling fish in the loch could physically achieve. Their report, published in New Scientist magazine, described the data as consistent with a large living object. A large living object, moving faster than anything that should be in that water. Now here's the question that nobody in mainstream science wants to answer directly. If it's not a known fish, not debris, not equipment malfunction, what exactly are these sonar systems tracking? Because it happened again, much more recently, and this time they had better equipment. In August 2023, the largest organized search of Loch Ness in 50 years took place. Dozens of volunteers, drone surveillance, hydrophones, underwater microphones sensitive enough to detect the movement of large creatures at depth, infrared cameras scanning the surface through the night. The search was run by the Loch Ness Center in collaboration with researcher Alan McKenna. And on the first day, the hydrophones picked up something, a sound, deep underwater, low frequency, not matching the acoustic signature of any fish or mammal on record in the loch. The team couldn't identify it. They reviewed the recording multiple times, sent it for independent analysis, and the conclusion was the same each time. Unknown origin. Now here's what honest science requires saying at this point. An unidentified sound is not proof of a monster. Equipment can produce artifacts. Natural geological activity. The loch sits along a fault line, can create unexpected acoustic readings. But here's what's harder to dismiss. The environmental DNA survey conducted alongside that same 2023 search found something in the water that researchers flagged as statistically unusual. Not a new species, not definitive proof of anything large, but a genetic trace that didn't match any creature currently on the confirmed species list for Loch Ness. Something left DNA in that water. Something that shouldn't be there. In 2024, a research team from New Zealand made a claim that quietly reignited the entire scientific debate. Their theory wasn't new, but their evidence was. They proposed, based on fossil records, water temperature modeling, and the eDNA results from multiple Loch Ness surveys, that what people have been seeing in this loch for centuries might be a surviving population of giant eels. Not the eels, not your standard river eel. European eels can grow to extraordinary sizes under the right conditions. They live in deep, cold water. They are notoriously difficult to track, and they have a body shape, long, dark, flexible, that at the surface at distance in low light could produce exactly the kind of sighting reports that have come out of Loch Ness for 1,500 years. Here's the part that makes this theory genuinely interesting, rather than just convenient. The eDNA surveys of Loch Ness found European eel DNA, lots of it, far more than would be expected for a loch of this size and ecosystem. Something is producing an unusual amount of eel DNA in this water. And here's the question researchers are sitting with right now. If there is a population of giant eels living at depth in Loch Ness, eels that have never been caught, never been filmed clearly, never been confirmed, does that mean the monster isn't real? Or does it mean the monster is real, just not the prehistoric reptile that everyone imagined? Because a 20-foot eel rising from 800 feet of black water at 2:30 in the morning, breaking the surface, then sliding back beneath without a ripple, that would explain everything that retired marine biologists saw at the start of this video. And it would still be one of the most extraordinary animals on the planet. So what does this all mean? Here's what the Loch Ness story actually reveals, and it's bigger than one Scottish lake. First, absence of proof is not proof of absence. The ocean covers 71% of our planet. We have explored less than 20% of it in any meaningful detail. New large species are still being discovered. The giant squid wasn't photographed alive until 2004. A new species of beaked whale was confirmed as recently as 2016. Loch Ness is 800 feet deep, murky, cold, and fed by underground channels that haven't been fully mapped. If something large wanted to avoid detection in that environment, it could. The absence of clear footage in a world of cameras doesn't mean the answer is nothing. It might just mean the answer is very good at hiding. Second, the history of cryptozoology is not entirely a history of delusion. The okapi was considered a myth until 1901. The mountain gorilla was unknown to Western science until 1902. The coelacanth, a fish scientists believed had been extinct for 65 million years, was caught alive off the coast of South Africa in 1938. Animals that couldn't exist have a long history of turning up eventually. Third, and this is the part that actually matters most, the Loch Ness Monster, whatever it is or isn't, has driven more people to engage with science, with ecology, with the natural world, than almost any other story in modern history. Every child who became fascinated by biology because of Nessie. Every researcher who went into marine science because unexplained things in water kept pulling at them. Every documentary that made someone look at a lake differently. The monster may or may not exist, but the curiosity it created, That's real. And curiosity like that, pointed in the right direction, produces discoveries that genuinely matter. Before we wrap up, there's one final thing you need to know, and this one nobody talks about. Here's the detail that changes how you see this entire story. Loch Ness has a temperature problem. The water is cold, consistently year-round cold, cold enough that the large reptiles, like a plesiosaur, the prehistoric creature most commonly associated with the Nessie legend, could not survive there. Reptiles are cold-blooded. They need warmth to function. The loch would kill one. That should close the case, right? Except the underground channels feeding Loch Ness have never been fully mapped. Geothermal activity along the Great Glen Fault, the same fault line that created the loch, produces localized heat sources at unpredictable points along the bottom. There are places in that loch where the temperature is not what the surface readings suggest. Nobody knows exactly what lies near those spots. And here's the final thought that stays with you. The 2023 search, the biggest in 50 years, with the best technology ever deployed on this water, did not find a monster. But it also didn't find nothing. It found eDNA that doesn't match the known species list. It found an acoustic signature nobody could identify. It found sonar returns that the team logged as unexplained. 3 separate instruments, 3 separate anomalies, same loch, same week. Maybe it's all explainable. Maybe the giant eel theory is exactly right. Or maybe the most famous unsolved mystery in the world is unsolved for a reason. The water isn't giving up its secrets easily, and somehow that feels exactly right. Let's bring it all together. Loch Ness has produced unexplained sonar readings since 1954. The largest search in 50 years, held in 2023, found eDNA that doesn't match known species, acoustic signatures of unknown origin, and a loch full of mysteries that better equipment keeps deepening rather than resolving. The giant eel theory is the most scientifically credible explanation currently on the table, and the water at depth, near geothermal fault activity, is still not fully mapped. The case is not closed. If this video pulled you in from the first scene, subscribe right now. This is exactly the kind of story this channel lives for. Every week, something that science hasn't fully explained yet. The pinned comment has the one eyewitness account from 2023 that the mainstream coverage completely ignored. Read it, and then tell me what you think. One question for the comments: giant eel, prehistoric survivor, optical illusion, or something else entirely? Drop your theory below. I read every single one. And when you're done here, the next video covers a creature that was considered a myth until they pulled one out of the ocean alive. That story is even stranger than this one.